Alright, on this video I'm going to show you how to use the TI-83, TI-84 calculator to graph inequalities. So the first one I'm going to do is y greater than x minus 4. So I'm going to set me up a table that I would use on my MATLAB. Alright, since this one's already solved for y, I'm going to plug this into the calculator under my y1. So we're going to go hit y equals. It's going to pull up my menu. I'm going to put in x minus 4. So remember, I hit this button for my x and then minus 4. Now, remember, since that's greater than, it's going to shade above. So when I go on my calculator, I'm going to choose an option where it looks like it's shaded above, like that triangle. To do that, we're going to arrow left until our cursor is past the equal signs and over here on this little line blinking. Now, I'm going to hit the enter button until that looks like that triangle I just drew. So I'm going to hit it once, hit it twice. If you notice now, that looks like that triangle that I drew. So that tells me when I hit graph, it's going to shade where I need it to shade. So let's hit graph and look what this graph looks like. So when I hit graph, there it drew my line and it shaded above like I needed. So let's see how I would put this into MATLAB. I need to get some points. So to get some points, I'm going to hit second graph and pull up my table. So there's a list of points right there. I want that 0 up there, I guess, because that's the easy one to point. So let me get back to it. I zoomed too far. Alright, so there's my 0. So at 0, I got y value of negative 4. When x is 1, I got a y value of negative 3. Now, that's enough points to plot this into MATLAB. Now, when you go to MATLAB, you're going to click to enlarge the graph. It's going to give you some options over there. You're going to see a little box like this with a solid line and a dash line. If you got greater than or less than, you're going to use that dash line when you draw your graph. If you got greater than and equal or less than and equal, you're going to pick that solid line. Now, by default, it's going to be on the solid line. So, you would go over here, plot your 2 points. 0, negative 4 would be at 0, down 4. 1, negative 3 would be over 1, down 3. Now, since there's no equals under that, and it's just a greater than, I'm going to make that a dashed line. And then, since it's greater than, we're going to shade above the line, which would be shading all of this. So, if we hit graph and go back to that graph, it looks identical, so we're happy. Now, you ought to trick on this number 2 here, so let me go back to y equals and clear that. On number 2, the trick is we got to solve that for that y. So I'm going to bring down 3x minus 5y less than or equal to negative 20. I want to get the 5y by itself, so I'm going to subtract 3x from both sides. Alrighty, let's see what that does. The 3x's cancel, the negative 5y comes down. That's less than or equal to. Now, since these are not like terms, I'm going to put them in mx plus b form. So that means I'm going to put my negative 3x and then minus my 20. Now, that needs to be a positive 1y when we're done. Since I got a negative 5 in front of this, I'm going to have to divide everybody by negative 5. Now, there is a rule, remember. When I divide by a negative number, I got to reverse my inequality so that it now looks like a greater than or equal. Now, negative 5 cancels. I got my y. Negative and a negative makes that a positive 3/5 x, because I cannot simplify that fraction. And then negative divided by negative here makes that a positive 4. So now, I got my equation. I can go to my calculator. I'm on my y equals already. So I'm going to do 3 divided by 5. Punch my x. And then do plus 4. That's my equation. Now remember, I got that greater than or equals. So I'm going to arrow left until I get over there on the left side of the equals. I'm going to hit enter until I got my triangle. There it is, because that's my greater than. Remember, once again, I'm looking for the triangle that's above. I want to hit graph to see what this looks like. So notice, since it was greater than down here, it shaded my graph above. Now, I need to make me a what? An X and a Y table so I can graph this. So I'm going to go to my second table. And notice I got points. I got 0, 4. Now, I don't want to plot a fraction or a decimal, so I'm going to go down there and get 5, 7. Okay? Now, we're going to graph this. So let's find 0, 4. So 0 up 4. 5, 7 would be right 5 up 7. So I got my 2 points. Since there's an equal bar under that, this one's going to be a solid line when you use the tool. Remember, you're going to come to the box, pick the solid line, not the dotted line. Also, while ago, I forgot to tell y'all on the first problem, the way to shade this, you'll notice in the little menu they give you, they got like a little paint can over there that looks like paint being sprayed. What you do is click that, drag it to the area you want it at. So you put your little paint can thingy or whatever it looks like up here. When you put that up there, it's going to shade that graph for you. Alright, so let me go back to graph, make sure I look good. I do. So I'm going to move on to the next problem. Alright, so let me bring that down where we can see it. I'm going to go back to y equals and clear that. Now, this is the only problem you cannot do on the calculator because it's only got the x variable. And notice on the calculator, everything is in the y's. A few of y'all might have that feature, but it's very unlikely. So, since that's x is greater than negative 4, I'm just going to set up a table with an x and a y. Now, on my 2 points, since that's like x and negative 4 only ones there, that means every x I pick has to be negative 4. Now, you notice there's not a y variable up here, so we can pick any numbers we want to be the y. So I'm just going to pick a 0 and a 1. Because remember, when you're done, any equation that has an x and just a number is going to be a vertical line. Alright, so here we go. We're going to go over to negative 4, 0, which is right there. Then I'm going to do negative 4, 1, which is right there. So notice, it's going to make a vertical line. Since there's no equals under here, we're going to make this a dashed line. And then, since x is greater than negative 4, greater than for the x's shades to the right, and I'm going to come in and shade this side over here. Now, did you notice this little inequality actually points the direction I got to shade those lines in? Alrighty, let me move that up here. I got 2 more on here. Now, luckily, this one has only the y variable, and guess what? The calculator has nothing but y's on it. So what I'm going to do is go to my y equals, and I'm going to put in negative 6. Now, since that's just a 6 with a negative sign in front of it, you got to use that negative in them parentheses on that. If you use the subtraction key, you're going to get an error, and you're going to have to change it. Now, I need to tell it where to shade, so since that is greater than or equals, I'm going to arrow left until I get left of those equal signs. Greater than shades above, so I'm going to click until I get my triangle showing above, and then I'm going to hit graph. Now you'll notice the Y lines are horizontal. It goes straight across, and since it was greater than, it's shaded above. Now I'm going to show you the table on this, because remember up here, since it only had an X, everything was -4. Down here, since it's only got a Y, all the Y's we look at are going to be -6. So watch this when I hit second graph and pull up my table. Notice, you can pick 0, you get -6. You can pick 1, you get -6. You can pick 2, you get -6. So, let's graph them and see what we got. 0, -6 is down 6, over 1, down 6. So there's my horizontal line. It's got an equal bar under it, so that's going to be a solid line going right across there, and a solid line going across there. Now, greater than shades above, so we're going to shade everything above that line. Because remember, the Y's get greater going up and smaller going down. Once again, if you hit graph, it looks like the same thing. Alright, so the last problem on here is a system of equations for the inequalities. They're both solved for Y already, so guess what? We're going to go to Y equals and clear that first line. First, I'm going to graph that first equation in Y1. So on Y1, I'm going to put X plus 1. Now, I need to tell it how to shade, so since that's greater than, I'm going to go over there and pick the one that looks like the triangle again. So let's arrow left, get over there on that Y equals on the left side of it. Click that till we got our upper triangle. Alright, I got my upper triangle. So now we're going to arrow down and go put in this next equation. So I arrowed back over to the right side of my equals on this one. So my next equation, I'm going to put in this one. And that is 1 minus x. So I'm going to do 1 minus x. Now in that, since it's subtraction, you got to use the subtraction key or you'll get a bad graph. Now, this one's less than. So I'm going to arrow left until I get left of the equals. I'm going to hit enter until I got the triangle that looks like it's a bottom corner. So I'm going to hit enter, 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 and there it is. Now, to get my answer, I want to look for one of these areas. On the graph, on the calculator, I'm going to look for the area where it's shaded both horizontally and vertically. We're looking for the double shaded area. So let's hit graph. So there's the first line that's graphing above. There's my second line that's graphing below. And if you notice right over here, if you follow my pen around this little triangular looking section, it's double shaded. So that is the answer to this system. Now, if you wanted to graph this by hand, you'd make an X and Y for the first line, X and Y for the second line, graph both of those, and then when you shade it, do one sort of vertically, and then do one sort of horizontally, and you'll notice that you'll get the one that is double shaded, like my answer C. Alright, so that's how you draw and graph your inequalities on the TI-84, TI-83 calculators. So good luck.